Yeah, everybody, come on.
Everything that Disney has done since they got Star Wars is a fuck you, and a hard fuck you.
This franchise is dead.
It sucked.
It's irrelevant.
It is completely irrelevant because Star Wars is on trial.
Answer me that.
So you lose, sir. Good day to you.
Okay,
But I just
Mike,
wanted to know
whoa.
what you
I'm
started
asking you a
off
question. You answer my question now. Did you think that was acceptable?
Not what I said. Don't put words in my mouth.
Your dog is ugly.
Mr. Ing, is that what you said? I've got a dog. Man, I've got Star Wars is dying, Judge Gore.
We laughed in their face like Dave Filoni.
The Force is fucking female in Disney Star Wars.
But guilty of the biggest crime of all. Being completely and utterly shit.
McClunky.
All rise. You may be seated. Continuing in the matter of the fans versus Disney LucasFilm. Today is Judgment Day. Today, the verdict will be in case number 1138. You, the jury, you watching, you will have a time to vote. This is your time now. Some have called this the trial of the millennium. It's much more serious. And those calling this fake trial, making fun of it, today, they will see how serious we are. Okay. Mr. Ing, if you would bring up the counts, please. There are 9 total counts. And here's how this is going to work. It's going to be very simple. Because of the seriousness of these charges, you, the viewers, the jury, will be able to vote on each count. We will go through all 9 counts, showing highlights of those debates. We may have some special guests join us who have been in my courtroom in the past. They'll be joining us to render their final thoughts. At the very end, we will go through the counts. And I am going to let you know right now, 95% guilty gets a guilty verdict. Anything less than 95% is not guilty on that count. This is not a clean sweep, as many in the media have been speculating. This is not a kangaroo court. This must be 95% voting guilty in order for a guilty verdict to stick. It's time to vote. It is now time. Critics' Court is in session. Continuing in this matter and joining us today is a Mr. Todd Blackwood. Mr. Blackwood is our courtroom sketch artist. He will be doing sketches and illustrations for the proceedings today. Thank you, Mr. Blackwood. You can go to blackwoodpdx.com or follow Mr. Blackwood on Instagram. Thank you for your attendance today. Mr. Ng, do I see a smirk on your face?
No, Your Honor. But I do, again, have to ask that you instruct the jury to smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube, Film Threat YouTube channel, and hit that notification. It's very important.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ng, for that reminder. Next time, how about without the smirk? Thank you very much. And we will begin. As more people have joined us, here's how this is going to work. We're going to show you highlights of each count, each charge against Lucasfilm Disney for the murder of the Star Wars franchise. After we view each count, other people who have been in my courtroom will have an opportunity to express any final thoughts. As the jury goes in to vote, you will be able to vote on that charge. We're going to go count by count, spending approximately 5 minutes or so on each count, depending on how long the debate goes. At the very end, we will then read the verdicts. Now, to be clear, this jury will not be a hung jury. It must be 95% or more in order to count as a guilty on that charge. Does the jury understand the instructions? Someone in the chat, please, people in the chat, just let me know that you understand. It's 95% and above counts as guilty. Anything below is not guilty on that count. Mr. Breno Belloc says, execute order KK. We shall see. As we have nearly 1,000 people here, it's time to begin. It is now time to begin. Let us take a look at the debate regarding count number 1.
Previously on Critics Court.
Yeah, everybody, come on. I think I just dented my desk. All right.
George Lucas is not a defendant
No, George Lucas is the creator of Star Wars, and we wouldn't be here without him.
That's nice, but the fans are actually the
that's
party,
nice.
not
We wouldn't
George
be
Lucas.
fans of
George
Star Wars
Lucas.
if it wasn't for George Lucas.
But he's no longer in control.
I know, because it was fraudulent misrepresentation, and he got swindled out of his company and his legacy.
We mentioned before how Mark Hamill basically does not appear in The Force Awakens, which is as fraudulent as possible, for two reasons. One, there was that classic picture, that black and white picture of the entire crew, old and new, reading the script. Why was he even there? I mean, he must have been fetching coffee. But also, I believe that Mark Hamill himself did the voiceover for one of the teaser trailers for The Force Awakens. Now, he is a very talented voice actor, but certainly you could get any voice actor to read that material. But using him and connecting with the fans was, again, another misrepresentation of, oh, yeah, by the way, Mark Hamill, the actor you've been loving for 40 years, he will be in the story. No, he won't be.
Mark Hamill was in the very last shot, but he was in the movie. Technically, he was there.
Yes, technically.
There were extras who had more room in the space and
From a
screen
certain
time
point
in
of
the story.
view, Mark Hamill was in the movie.
I think what you're describing is what would be considered the bait and switch. Let's just take Mark Hamill for a second. You know, if Mark Hamill is doing press, he is doing teaser trailers for it, there's an expectation that he would be in the movie, and yet he is he is technically in the movie, but not in a way that is satisfying to the expectations of fans going into the film prior, not knowing anything about the movie.
Rise of Skywalker, love it or hate it, it still made over $1 billion. If we're going by the same argument that because of the Last Jedi, was killing the fan base, and that they immediately were losing money because of Solo, then why didn't The Rise of Skywalker make less than $1 billion?
Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Lando.
I'm falling asleep during this debate. As I've instructed the members of the jury, the viewers, voting is now open on count 1. Fraudulent misrepresentation. How do you feel on this? Guilty or not guilty? Mr. Ng, what do you have to say on this topic? You were very animated in the video that we just saw.
Yes. I mean, let's be clear. There was an expectation. There were announcements. There were photos. During press, we were promised that Han, Luke, and Leia would appear in this movie. And I think you could go as far as to say that they would appear sometime together. But not only did you kill one of the characters, but you saved Luke Skywalker for the last seconds of the movie. That is the classic bait and switch. And so fraudulent misrepresentation. We were led to believe something, and it did not come true.
There are nearly 1,000 jurors now in attendance. I think that's a good sample group. As I've previously stated, the vote must be 95% in order to secure a guilty verdict. It's all up to you, members of the jury. Mr. Blackwood, I know you've created more than 200 videos, or excuse me, sketches and illustrations. If you care to share with us as people vote some of your best works, I will feature you more full screen here, sir, so we can see. Thank you very much. Well, there you go. My understanding is that Mr. Blackwood will be doing a Critics Court Sketchbook Volume 1 and doing a Kickstarter. We'll have details of that to members of the jury if you'd like to purchase said book. I would like a little memento of our several months here. Several months. Thank you, Mr. Blackwood. We're all indebted to you for your hard work. Mr. Ng, any other final thoughts before we move to the next count? Has it been a full? We're going to give at least 5 minutes. 5 minutes for voting for each count, and then we will read the results at the very end of the show. Another reminder: after this session ends, many have suggested that there are other trials that should be brought to Critics Court. Some have suggested Marvel. Some have suggested DC. Some have suggested the Snyderverse. Jurassic Park. I don't know who it was who said Jurassic Park, but somebody did say Jurassic Park. Many have been suggested. At the end of this session, once we have a verdict, do not leave. You are going to choose the franchise that comes to Critics Court next from among 8 possible choices. We're going to go through 8 choices. Mr. Ng, any comments before we move on?
No, I believe all the evidence has been weighed, and I believe our jury is going to make the right decision.
Okay. Let's take a look at highlights as we vote. We're going to end the voting for count 1 right now. Voting for count 1 ends. And voting for count 2 will be up momentarily. Is that right? Poll ending in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then the next poll will go up as well. It is very important that you vote, because 95% gets you a guilty verdict. These are serious charges. This is the charge of murder of a beloved franchise. A beloved franchise that has been around for decades, since the 1970s. Alan, what was that like? The 1970s.
Yeah.
Mr.
I'm just saying, this is not the Galactic Senate. This is America, and you need to vote.
And this is also in my courtroom, no one can be bought. This is all about you. All right, let's take a look. The poll is ended for count 1. The poll for count 2 has begun. Let's take a look at highlights from the debate for count 2.
Previously on Critics Court.
Force Pool wasn't a part of canon, and George made it up because it was cool for The Empire Strikes Back, which is great. It's fabulous.
I don't think he made it up at all. I think we hadn't seen any, hardly any of the Jedi's powers or any of the Force powers at all until we get to really Empire Strikes Back.
Not a whole lot had been established about the Force. I don't know what kind of canon was established in A New Hope.
I imagine it was intentionally vague in order to probe people's imaginations. He wanted to keep it vague.
Well, I mean, it takes place in a few days. I mean, that's like asking a chemist everything he knows about chemistry and demonstrating it in a few days, a few minutes of time. I mean, how long does it take a samurai to learn how to wield a sword? No one ever took us through the years it would take to become a Jedi. So the idea that we're supposed to have seen every moment or everything that a Jedi could do in the space of a movie is absurd.
The Star Wars canon was always a work in progress from day one. George didn't even know that there was going to be 6 movies.
I think a huge part of the fact that we have so many contradictions is the fact that Darth Vader says in the first movie the ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force. Right. It is definitively superpowers that you can willfully tap into at any time as long as you know how to be spiritual, mystical man.
But my point is, who is the sole guardian of canon from episodes 1 through 6? I'm going to say that's George Lucas. And I think the main point here is that this is George Lucas's story. And I think our point here is that Disney had now come in and dismantled everything George had built to that point.
If you go back to the extended universe, there's so much material now that they're picking and choosing, cherry picking what they think is the best stuff. There was so much stuff in those comics that were thought more about than J.J. Abrams ever thought about these things. Because the people that write tie-in fiction now spend way more time thinking about the universe and the characters than the people writing movies.
Don't forget, we were pissed off at George for a long time, and we got really excited when Disney took it over, and we got pissed off again.
Okay. Voting has begun for count 2. While we wait for others to join, we have a significant number of comments worth reading today. And I want to thank our new members, Flavius Alcanthar, Doug, Ketcher Block, thank you very much, B. Christopher, Coffee, Caffeinated Me. I want to thank all of our new members who have joined. I'll go through some of these chat comments and questions. Mexican Iron Man Threat Level 2 has been a member for 11 months and says, welcome to the members of the jury. Please keep order in the court by liking, sharing, and subscribing to this channel. Thank you, Mr. Iron Man. Jake King for 2. Everyone involved did a fantastic job. Thank you. You know what? I even think Mr. Ing did a very good job. And I don't say that, and I'm under oath right now. So, very good job, Mr. Ing.
And, Your Honor, you did a fantastic job as well.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ing. Thank you. Going through these comments as you are voting, you, me, and the movies for 10. I think there is only one way to settle this case. Trial by combat. We shall have a duel of the fates. Choose your champion and grab your lightsabers. Well, there you are. Thank you very much for the $10. That will go in the till here in Critics Court. Jorge Barracuda for 5. Eating my shrimp and rice and beans while watching Guilty. Okay sign, American flag. And Mexican Iron Man for 10. Your Honor, upon guilty verdicts, Mexican Iron Bailiff stands at the ready to take Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, Lucasfilm, and the co-conspirators into protective custody and place in solitary confinement for life. Well, there you
Mexican
are.
Iron Man, your day has come.
Yes, yes. And
provided they're guilty.
Benjamin for 10. At the end of the day, it's a litmus test. How often do you personally actually return to view these sequels. The truth is that answer. Thank you, Benjamin. Your Muslim uncle for 199. Innocent. Now bring out the Sharktacon. Thank you. Contrarian 420 for 5. Superb series film threat. Justice for Admiral Akbar. Zahn trilogy is canon. Jorge Barracuda for 2. As guilty as Hunter. Your Muslim uncle for 199. Shark. Also goes on to say Ta. For 199. And Cons. Sharktacons. Nazaro for 249 euros. Guilty, I say. DC should be on trial next. Well, we'll see. I like Zack Snyder, but the Snyderverse deserves a hard look. The DC movies have been let down, and Snyder needs to be put on the stand. DC trial next. Well, we'll see. You'll get to vote. Graph Web for 2. Cancel Disney Plus. Mr. Tickle Trunk for 2. Please remind people to use the poll to vote. Yes, use the poll to vote. DeBeast 808 has become a member. Alexander Dukas for 2. Chris Allen, Gary at Squad, Star Wars Girl, bravo. Thank you for that. David Nelson for 199. Thanks for the entertainment from the 199 Legion. And George killed the franchise back in 2002. And B. Christopher, thank you, gifted 10 Film Threat memberships. So thank you for that. You may continue to vote. We're going to close voting momentarily. Let me check with Ms. P. Coffee. The 5 minutes are up for charge 2. The 5 minutes are up for charge 2. So let's take a look at a video which will go over count number 3.
Previously on Critics Court.
Bob Iger's choice to create an impossible release schedule is the first strike. Every 2 years putting out a Star Wars movie, it just doesn't work. You need 3 years. Strike number 2 is Kathleen Kennedy not hiring a Star Wars expert to help advise and guide her team. And of course, strike 3 was not having a unifying vision that would properly tell the story in a way that respects the first 6 movies that came before it.
Disney had every opportunity in the world to improve Star Wars, to build upon what was there, regardless of what state it was in at that time. Instead of building upon and nurturing it, it decided to malnourish it, bleed the blood dry, and leave it to die a riddled, dead mess, where today a Star Wars show or movie cannot even muster enough energy to get people excited on Disney Plus. And we are sadly at this point where they're just basically cutting pieces off the corpse and selling it to us. They intentionally went against George Lucas's intended vision for the sequel trilogy. Kathleen Kennedy herself has said that we're not here to appease to 50-year-old fans. It may be second-degree murder, or however you want to put it. It sure ain't homicide, it's murder.
The idea that the Disney is willing to stir controversy as a PR move to try to make money is not negligence, it's a business strategy.
If they had at least pulled it off. So, I mean, if they wanted the Force to be female, that's fine. But the problem is they turned Rey into a Mary Sue. The reason why the Force is female is because half of the population is female. And they know that the majority of the excited people about Star Wars are male. And so they already said, hey, we already got those assholes. We already got them. So let's go ahead and just now we're going to go get the ladies. It turned out to be shitty Star Wars.
They are trying to bring Star Wars to a more wider audience.
But if it's not Star Wars done properly, then is it Star Wars?
Could it be that the Star Wars we got was the best they were able to get because the talent pool was maybe not up to snuff?
I can't believe turning Obi-Wan Kenobi into the Reva television show is the best that they can do, you know. And I will venture that there's people sitting here in this audience who could walk into a writer's room and produce better product than came out of that Obi-Wan series. So
is that neglect? Is that mismanagement? Or is it just bad decisions?
But isn't bad decisions mishandling?
So there it is.
Yes, I remember we went in depth into the Force is female in that episode. It's almost as if it happened yesterday. Oh, there's no clip. We don't have a clip of that. Never mind.
Oh, that? No.
Okay. Sorry, I missed the memo on that one.
We do have another clip that we can show here. So
I'm doing this so that the films will have a longer life, and so that more fans and people can enjoy them into the future. It's a very big universe I've created, and there's a lot of stories that are sitting in there.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them.
Count 3, the voting continues. We do have some comments here. I'm going to go to our starred comments while voting continues on count 3. AJ Matheson for 20. Not only did Disney kill Star Wars and Lucasfilm, they have killed the idea of the hero, the role of the villain, the idea of heroic growth, and genuine plot development. Guilty. May the Force have mercy on your souls. And Paul Rouleau has become a YouTube member. Rouleau, thank you for that. As is Wonky Eyebrow for £2. Star Wars left Hollywood years ago. FKK and Lucasfilm. Dionysus P for €5. Thanks, Your Honor, for your work. Off with their heads. We shall see. Too Tired for 5. Not a movie, but I'd like to see EA taken to court for Mass Effect and BioWare. Maybe all the dev studios they bought and subsequently murdered. Well, that's a video game court there. I'm not sure if we would do that, but thank you for that. Dino's Reviews for $1.99. Guilty, prepare the carbonite chamber. Larry Holcomb for €20. Guilty, that ninja guilty. LMAO. I have the news sing them all. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
I see my name in there somewhere.
Darth Racer for 777 for 5. Mara Jade should have been Luke's wife. That could have been interesting. Again, I want to remind those that are joining us late that we are currently voting on count 3, which is the negligent handling and management of the Star Wars franchise. This is what is currently being voted on. Each count will have approximately 5 minutes to vote. We will read the results at the end of the show.
I believe charge 3, voting has closed.
Voting is closed. Prepare to vote on count 4. Just a few. I'm going to read a few more of these here before we go to the video for count 4. Give me just a moment. KK has way too much ego putting brunette actors, says Slayer96. DA second for 2. Benjamin for 5 says KK is so bad she should add another K to her name. Lock her up. And sci-fi is life for 5. Maybe you should start Game Threat with Gary, if he can find doors, that is. We shall consider it. Thank you for the gifted membership, says Huron Steadfast for 2. Hayden75 gifted 10 Film Threat memberships. And Tomorrowlad for 5. They murdered Star Wars Battlefront 3. Well, there you go. Let's take a look at the debate for count 4.
Previously on Critics Court. What I will say is to play victim and to use this moment to put out a choreographed and and I think this is where some of the malice can come in, guys.
Yep, pre-written.
They had already planned on using this excuse. In the
Yep.
case of Moses Ingram, they prepped the media, they prepped Moses Ingram, and as soon as it happened, and there was bad feedback for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series,
they prepped
boom,
Miss
that's the biggest
Ingram.
headline coming off week 3 of Obi-Wan release.
They prepped Miss Ingram because past his prologue and because of the treatment that Kelly Marie Tran had received.
They're allowing a small minority of hateful people speak for the majority.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the major problem is that, to not like a certain movie, to not like a certain character, now you equate that with the people who really don't like them and makes the racist and the misogynistic comments and then assigns it to them. and that is not fair. And that does not fix the problem of fixing bad movies, bad stories, and bad characters. By just
It
saying,
also happens to
whoever hates
distract
them
from the
are
reality,
racist.
which was much more than just about her race.
No, Disney did not organize a campaign to go after the fans, and no, it did not organize a campaign to annoy the audience and lose money.
I think that this argument is, I'm going to say dumb. There's a portion of the internet that is always going to be that way. You're not going to get rid of it. Trying to fight against that is just, it's like trying to punch the ocean. But that's not the majority of Star Wars fans. What Mr. Rubio said was, he said, well, how can it be malicious if their goal is to make money? Well, sure, their secondary goal is to make money. But their primary goal is to push an agenda, and they're hoping they can get away with it, and they just didn't this time.
I think, and so many other people think, that the reason why the story is suffering is because they're more focused on these checkboxes. They're more focused on diversity. They're more focused on pushing an agenda than they actually are about telling a good story. And now they are finally seeing the ramifications of that. They are realizing that this is what we have done to the Star Wars brand. We pushed all these people who were fans away. We admitted it. We told them they were going to do it. We laughed in their face like Dave Filoni. And that is why they're failing. And that is why Disney murdered Star Wars.
The count that you are currently voting on, which must be 95% or higher in order to be a guilty verdict, is introduction of current day politics. Joining us to discuss this, he's been in our courtroom before. Mr. Ryan Johnson is here. Mr. Johnson, do you have anything to say with regard to this count?
Well, I think that you guys are all a bunch of little whiny babies. That's what I really think. That's it. That's all I have to say. Whiny babies, whiny babies, whiny babies. That's it.
Okay, well, you know, you're talking to the audience of fans who spent good money over the years on merchandise, on films.
Do you have the average audience age is in this demographic here? Dealing with a bunch of grown man babies. That's all I have to see.
Mr. Johnson, do you have anything to say to maybe sway votes your way?
I think that at the end of the day, these films are made for children. And the fact that an auteur like myself took the time to come into this universe and try to elevate it so that it was just a little bit more than a film for giant grown man babies. I think that, we did what we could with what we had to work with. And you guys are really ungrateful that you couldn't see all of the wonderful Easter eggs that we kept putting in there. You know, lots of member berries. You know, you remember Chewbacca? You know, we gave him a good ending. You remember Han Solo? You know, we put him out with a bang. Remember Mr. Luke Skywalker? You know, we learned some things. We did the best that we could with what we were given.
Yes, and you are the creator of the Porg, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my goodness! Look at the Porg. The Porg. I mean, I didn't even bring up the Porg. You know, the Porgs. Remember the Porgs, Barry. When you're thinking about this, just remember that hindsight is 20/20. It's really easy to look back at A New Hope and all these other films with rose-colored glasses, but when George Lucas himself attempted to please the fans with the Star Wars prequels, he failed miserably. And I think he did a great job. And it's not the fans. I mean, it's not George or me that's the problem. It's not Kathleen Kennedy that's the problem. You know, if there's a consistent problem over and over and over with you, it's time to look at yourself.
Well, thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your attendance in court today. Patrick Lemire says, holdo maneuvering.
Oh, that's a good, not my dick.
Yes, let's see what the jury has to say. Here, William Sleeper for $4.99. William Sleeper for $4.99 says, KK, join me, Gorel. You've been known to disagree with the council. Yours could become an important voice in the new order, second only to my own. It's, of course, quoting Superman, the motion picture.
Your Honor, just to let you know, the voting for count 4 is over.
The voting for count 4 is over. Okay. DeBeast 808 for 5. Definitely guilty on this count. All movies broached issues. DSW did it maliciously and thus must be found guilty. Remain blessed, Frank, Allen, and Chet. Wolf, the Iron Lord, for 200 of some currency, which I'm unaware. First, sorry for the worthless currency. Okay. Second,
I'm not living in modern times. What is all of these comments about? We're reflective of the current power dynamics in the world. And if you don't like that, well, then you don't like the world, and you can go.
Well, there you are. Well, thank you. Second, I imagine it's a Gundam. It's a bum that begs for money outside of this courthouse. Ha ha ha. Shout out to Papa Gundam. We're going to continue to read chats as we put up count 5. We will watch the video for count 5 momentarily, but we have a significant number of comments from our jury, and I want to make sure that they all get read. Here we go. Sadly, Star Wars ended with Return of the Jedi, says Obi Pixel for £499. Slayer 96.
Comment.
Well, there you go. Slayer 96, DA second for 2. I will make my own Cheech and Chong movie parody. Sci-Fi is Life for 10. Also, let's also not forget that they said Star Wars shows there is no difference between good and evil. The Force is female and completely make Rey better than everyone else. Sorry, Dave, but you didn't try. Now let's take a look at the video of highlights for count 5.
Previously on Critics Court.
The example of the hyperspace ram maneuver, which we saw in the Last Jedi. Do you guys all accept that if you have the ability to do that, simply crash one ship into a fleet of ships and obliterate all of them through the power of the ramming technique, that rather changes the dynamics of space battles forever within Star Wars.
In our third movie,
and not for the better.
Bad writing, I think, is a separate issue from just the lore.
Well, I guess my argument would be that bad writing and lore breaking go hand in hand generally.
The thing is, I don't think this is a case of, George Lucas did it bad, so Disney is off the hook. The problem is that my lore that I created was mine to do with as I saw fit. You have to admit that when the sequel movies came out, you were begging for Ewoks again.
Did we fail in lots of little middling ways as we tried to correct our ESG score and get more money into the franchise so we could keep making Star? Yes, we did. I am not so certain that we have indeed broken the lore. I do believe we fixed the shooting through the spaceship with that one line of dialogue that it was 1 in a million. It's never going to happen again. You know, there's sometimes freak things happen. But we did not break the Force. And in future films, we can tone that down. We'll just tone it down a little bit. We're going to just pull it down, just there, just right, perfect. Just the same way George Lucas learned that he needed to pull his Jedi ballerina stuff down. You know, there's a learning curve with Star Wars, and we've had some success and we've had some failure. And I would just love you to remember moments like the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian before the saboteur Jon Favreau screwed us in the behind.
The lore of Star Wars has been consistently and repeatedly and forcefully violated without any preamble or without any preparation of any sort by Disney. The results are a bloody and raw mess of violated canon and lore, and unfortunately, it falls to the drinker to clean it up.
I think it strains credulity that there are no gay people in space in the original trilogy. And in the new trilogy, we get a ton of gay space people.
I just need to pipe in here a little bit. That your statement is false. All the stormtroopers are gay.
See, there it is, right from the horse's mouth. All of the stormtroopers are gay.
Well, there you are. So voting has begun for count 5. Any comments, Mr. Ng or Mr. Johnson, for that matter?
I'll let Mr. Ng to begin with.
Oh no, I was going to ask you, Mr. Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to ask you, Mr. Johnson. I think you are one who has been charged many times with demystifying Star Wars lore with The Last Jedi. Do you want to respond to that?
This is such a ridiculous charge. You know, when something starts out really densely packed and then it starts getting scattershot all over the place, and I mean, I think we can thank the Star Wars Christmas special for that, the beginning of the demystification of the lore. By the time this shitbag rolled over to me, it was demystified. It was demystified already. I did my best to tie the things together that I saw that were useful. I tried to introduce some new and interesting concepts. I mean, you remember all those wonderful little kids inspired by the Rebel Alliance? You know, it's just amazing. You know, the Rebels were inspirational to the entire galaxy. I think there's a lot of wonderful things that happened in our film. It's not my fault that Kathleen Kennedy didn't want Luke Skywalker to be the feature of the film. It's not my fault that all of these major Star Wars characters, when they got into the script and they were the main characters, they just made everybody else seem lame. So, you know, you have to approach these things in ways after the demystification of the lore has already taken place. It already took place.
Mr. Johnson, I think we've heard quite enough. We have an actual attorney joining us on the stream now. Mr. Nick Rekieta from Rekieta Law. Mr. Rekieta.
Howdy.
Good to see you. Wait, let's put you, there you are.
I love when people enlarge me.
Thank you for joining us. You're renowned for your opinions on Star Wars, from what I hear.
Probably, I guess. Yes. No, definitely. I have the only correct opinion on Star Wars.
Please share, as we're voting on 9 counts against Lucasfilm. If you could show the document, Mr. Ng, with all 9 counts against Disney Star Wars for the murder of the Star Wars franchise. If you could share that document with us. Start from the top of the document so Mr. Rekieta can view that.
Sorry. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, start from the top, sir. Mr. Ng.
Yes. Well, count 0 is the murder of the Star Wars franchise. Count 1 is fraudulent misrepresentation. Count 2, fraudulent misuse of Star Wars canon. Okay. Count 3, negligent handling and mismanagement of the Star Wars franchise. Count 4, malicious introduction of current day politics. Count 5, which we are currently voting on, is demystifying lore. Count 6, the blatant disregard and threatening of fans. Count 7, negligent misuse of legacy characters. Count 8, blatant misuse of the expanded universe. And then finally, count 9, conspiring with and maliciously hiring activists.
Okay. So you're up to count 5 now, I believe?
That's correct, yes. We're up to count 5. And voting is about to begin on count 6.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, here's what I will say, just as my preliminary and opening argument. Star Wars, at its inception as a movie franchise, starting with episode 4, beginning, as the Greek would say, in medias res, was always and will always be far less than anything that should be considered good. Now, was Star Wars a revolutionary advancement of the sci-fi Western genre? Did it move sci-fi out from clunky, weird-moving robots into an age of modernity and radical special effects? Yes. But was the storytelling, character development, or general acting quality ever good? I will always say no. But despite that, I must say that on all of the counts, I have to vote guilty, because even from where it was, at the lowest point, in the gutter with Pennywise from It has still managed to dig further down into the earth and gone into the fires of hell where it never belonged.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Rekieta. And your attendance in court is very much appreciated today.
What is his diploma? Is this a real lawyer here? A real lawyer?
Yes, especially compared to Rian Johnson, who is not even a real man. But I do want to say, I just wanted to thank, I wanted to thank my sponsor for this stream. My sponsor, of course, being Anna, that Star Wars girl who conveyed the invitation to me first. And she, of course, endorses and fully supports my only correct opinion. So thank you, Anna, that Star Wars girl, for helping me spread the glory of the truth that Star Wars has been garbage from the start, and that everybody who is mystified by their childhood fantasy and engagement with the movie often overlooks the numerous writing and production faults that plague the initial trilogy and only get worse as time goes on. So thank you, Anna, for that. I really do appreciate it.
And joining us in courtroom now is Anna, that Star Wars girl, and Mr. Critical Drinker. Mr. Critical Drinker also taking time out of his day. He's on a very important stream for his Kickstarter project. Thank you both for joining us. Do you have any statements regarding the verdicts today? We're voting on all 9 counts. We're up to, I believe, we're going to look at count 6.
Count 6 is next.
Yes.
Well, I just dropped in to see that justice was done. And, well, I think Star Wars hasn't just died, it has been murdered. It is a victim of murder most foul on the part of Lucasfilm. They have systematically destroyed every aspect of it, and they deserve everything that's coming to them on this trial.
Anna, you were recently at a convention with comic books in San Diego. I'm glad that you made it here. You made it into courtroom today. Oh, I think you're muted, Miss. Yeah, we can't hear you.
You sound like you're in a different country. Maybe you're in a country
Is
or maybe
that
a
better?
different dimension where Star Wars was actually good.
Star Wars has always been good. Is this better? Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Yes.
Okay.
Do you have anything you'd like to say before we look at clips from count 6?
I would like to disavow everything that Nick has said about Star Wars being bad. You are just blatantly wrong, Nick. But thank you for being here and actually participating, even though you are wrong and have the wrong opinion on this.
I'm just sad to hear that Kathleen Kennedy got to you.
Gets to us all, Ricada.
It's not what she was saying in tweets, or direct messages on X, the wonderful messaging platform. She's like, please come in and tell everybody about Star Wars and tell them the truth. And I promise, I'll back you up. But now, turns out, Disney got to one more. How much did they pay you, Anna? How much did they pay?
Nothing, unfortunately. I wish I would have gotten something from the trauma that they put me through, but at least I got to meet all you fun people, even if you do have the wrong opinions sometimes, Nick.
But my understanding is you actually like the Porgs.
I like the what?
The Porgs. The Porgs, yeah.
Oh, the terrible CGI creatures. No, I did not like them.
What do you mean? They paid me so much to create those porgs.
Didn't you just create them because you were filming on a Scottish island where there was loads of puffins and you needed something to cover up the fact that they were making loads of noise?
Hey, inspiration comes from everywhere.
That's
and there
true.
was all this shit all over all the rocks.
Let's take a look at the highlights from the debate over count 6.
Previously on Critics Court.
The most recent example of this, and that is of the character Reva from the Kenobi series. It seems like that a lot of the criticism of Reva has been described as racist or examples of racism, which led one Ewan McGregor to post a video with his shock and dismay about the racist comments and tweets she has been getting. Do you feel like this is a case in which fans were treated unfairly for something legitimately bad?
If you haven't been making racist comments, they are not talking about you. And in fact, they're not talking about the majority of the fan base.
Yeah, but I don't think that was ever stated. I don't think
Yes,
Ewan
you
McGregor
have
ever said for the small minority of critics.
Yes.
I would like to condemn your comments. It appeared that he was referring to everybody who was criticizing the character.
This is about how do you destroy and cut off half the audience? You destroy the hero's journey. You destroy the classical mythos. But if you're wondering why the audience is divided in half, if you wonder why people are turning away and then being called names for it, It's because you're going against the classical myth that Lucas gave us. This is a mythical dimension, long time ago, galaxy far, far away, not Earth 2023. Nothing to do with it.
I did 12 wipe transitions, okay? I thought you fans were going to be happy. What is your problem, you man-babies?
Your Honor, I must point out that Mr. Johnson's actually doing exactly what Disney and Star Wars are being charged of in this count. And as far as the Slave Leia thing, which is, I feel, the only thing I may not have addressed in my arguments today, did anybody bother asking women how they felt about this? There's a lot of cosplayers that this is a very popular costume for. I mean, I think many of these women feel and look very happy and look like they're doing what they want to do to me.
You know, I actually can see and understand that you should not, kill off a villain without explaining to my dick.
We need to have order in the courtroom so we can proceed here. And I'll say this, Mr. Johnson, please. If I might add,
my dick.
if you are on
my dick,
if you're on the internet, you should refrain from looking up
my dick.
Voting has begun for
that's pretty definitive.
Voting is now open for count 6. Any comments on this on count 6 before we start to discuss count 7?
I want to. No, that was a shocking display of disrespect for the court on the part of Rian Johnson.
What? Ha! This court deserves no respect.
I want to appeal to one specific fact of the universe that I think is elicited from the clip that we saw in the testimony given by witnesses, is that Lofty Pixels is literally never correct. He is always wrong. Again, this is a universal force. It's physics, ladies and gentlemen. So if Lofty Pixels is opposed to the idea that fans were disrespected, we can say for certain that they were.
Your Honor, I'd like to draw the court's attention to the question of the Slave Leia outfit from the original trilogy. I believe that criticizing that is inadmissible in this court on the grounds that it's really fucking hot.
Sexism.
I agree with that. Any criticism of the Slave Leia outfit must be returned with the question, are you gay, though? And if you are gay, why are you the one gay who doesn't have good fashion sense?
All the stormtroopers are gay. What's wrong with being gay?
I didn't say anything was wrong with it, Rian Johnson. Why are you bigoted towards gay people?
You got me. I'm so sorry, gay people.
Lovely.
Okay, it appears count 6. Have we gone? And by the way, in order to secure a guilty verdict, it must be 95% or higher in our poll for a guilty verdict. This is no kangaroo court. So we are less than 1 minute left to vote on count 6. Well, it looks like Mr. Pixels may actually be joining us today. So he's like Beetlejuice. If you mention his name 3 times, he appears before you.
I just want to know why all you Star Wars fans are so threatened by my dick.
Really, Your Honor, this is contempt of court, surely.
The dick.
The last thing to be threatened by Rian Johnson's dick was a cutout of Lando Calrissian.
Oh. Or Holdo.
Let's take a look now.
When I use my dick.
Well, that lends new meaning to the term the Holdo maneuver.
The voting for count 6 has ended. We'll now open the voting for the jury for count 7. And let's take a look at highlights from the debate for count 7.
Previously on Critics Court.
We only get to see Luke Skywalker at the end, the very end of The Force Awakens, leaving fans hanging for 2 years as to speculate what's going to happen with Luke? This is going to be the most amazing thing ever. Rey's handing him the lightsaber. Speculation, playing on emotions, and then only to go into episode 8 after 2 years of speculation, of hype and anticipation for Luke Skywalker to grab that beloved lightsaber and toss it over his shoulder as an angry shell of what he used to be. Han Solo literally was the same person that he was in the OT. He never evolved. He never became anything. He was just an old, cranky version of what he always was. There was no evolution. He was the divorced father that had no connection to his son. That is not a hero. That's not who we wanted Han Solo to be. And then, of course, we see what they did with Princess Leia.
Let's say you wanted Luke to be the focus. If we were to focus on Luke.
I didn't want Luke to be. The original screenwriter wanted Luke to be the focus. And J.J. Abrams, who is here today, decided to fire that writer because, in quote from Michael Arndt himself, Luke Skywalker took too much attention away from the new characters. You're getting a little nervous. You got to settle down, defense. It's 1 versus 3. You guys should not be squirming out of control. I'm a one man, yet I am annihilating you. No. Yeah, I think there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever to say that Luke Skywalker would have walked away and been the hermit that he is. There's no evidence to show from a character standpoint from Luke Skywalker, the man who saw just a small piece of good in his evil father. There's no way that that man would be the person that we got.
So if you understand mythology, sir, if you understand mythology, not entertainment now, not your stupid Cobra Kai high school, what do you call it, a melodrama soap opera. Cobra Kai is entertainment, Star Wars is mythology.
Then why are we talking about real world shit in Star Wars if it's high mythology? Why is Kathleen Kennedy saying we have to get rid of the white? Ryan Johnson is on record saying less white dudes in Star Wars, but it's high mythology.
Here.
You don't even mention Rey in the whole sequel trilogy now. You can't even talk about her as being a hero because you know what I'm going to point out is that she literally just hijacks the Skywalker name because they can't even let her be who she really is. Wait a minute. JJ, did you just tell me that you were not allowed to call George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, when Kathleen Kennedy sat there across from him and said, we're going to lean on him? Are you telling me, are you telling the jury, are you telling this court?
I'm telling you.
You couldn't call George because Disney wouldn't allow you? Is that what you're saying?
I've got a ball.
Mr. Johnson, that was a very intense exchange.
Was it? I mean, is it intense that we need less white dudes in Star Wars? I mean, come on. Luke Skywalker, white dude. Han Solo, white dude. Darth Vader, voice of a black guy under the helmet, white dude. Are you noticing a pattern here?
Yeah, the white characters make all the mistakes and have flaws.
I would settle for just one good white dude character in the sequel trilogy, because I would argue we didn't get a single one.
We got Poe Dameron. He's close enough to white.
He's not white,
he's
though.
not.
He's close enough. If you're Mexican, that's as far as Disney's concerned, that's white.
Still not close enough.
No. But Rey, you got the whitest British woman to be your main character. You have Holdo, who is also white. You have Carrie Fisher, who is also white. You still have Han Solo, who is white. You have Hux, who is a ginger, the epitome of whiteness. So you want to give George Lucas hell for all the white characters. I would argue you had more than he ever had.
Gingers are their own race. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they're soulless. And you put that in the forefront of your movie.
That was a metaphor.
That's one of the biggest crimes you could have committed.
That is a pretty good metaphor for the sequel trilogy. A soulless shell.
There are a lot of subtext to my film, absolutely.
That is true.
Mr. Ricada, I'm told that you have a theory about the Jedi. Do you care to share it with us?
God.
Well, you know what Jedi rhymes with? Pedophile. And you know why? Because they abduct
just rolls
children.
off the tongue, doesn't it, Nick?
Yeah. Look,
this guy knows what
as
I'm
an
talking
English
about.
major, I am an expert on rhymes. Jedi rhymes with pedophile. And that's because they abduct children, they take them away from their parents to a secluded sanctuary where they use mind control powers in effort to train them into a specific doctrine. I think we call that grooming. Grooming away from any other influence. And they force touch kids. They force touch kids in their genitals. We've heard it from the little ones, and we know that Anakin was sent to clean up the mess. Oh, Anakin turned dark. He just went ahead and killed all the children. Sure, at the orders of the church, who he routinely followed. This is ridiculous. Why is this even controversial?
Do you want to write Glass Onion too?
No.
Oh, that.
No, I don't want to write anything. I'm just here to spit facts, Rian Johnson. And the facts are that you ignored the JQ. That's right, the Jedi question. You could have answered all this, you could have clarified it, you could have exposed it for what it was, but you ignored the JQ when you had the chance to expose those greedy little hand-wringing hooded monsters. No, you just stepped aside and let the JQ linger. It's a giant conspiracy over the whole galaxy.
Listen, Luke Skywalker has moved past children. He's boning the porgs now on that island. So, you know, no more kids. He's had his fill.
Well, he's got that giant sea cow monster thing.
That's
That provides him with all the milk that he needs, so he's a happy man. Or he was. Then Ray showed up.
You see the size of those memories? I mean, he's a very happy.
I'm told that the voting for count 7 has ended. Only 2 more counts left. Let's take a look at the highlights from the debate for count 8.
Previously on Critics Court.
We are debating what is misuse of the EU. I will tell you what misuse of the EU is. It's bringing in a badass, loved character like Black Santan and having him go ahead and be so stupid and incompetent as to grab Boba Fett out of a Bacta tank where he's just wearing his Speedo and just go ahead and throw him around and go grr and grr a little bit. They're turning these people into clowns. And Boba Fett has been absolutely decimated.
And I would just like to make this statement. We never said all of the EU was good. But you know what? Even the worst EU is better than Disney's Star Wars, I will say.
I stand with that statement.
I disagree 100%. We know that Disney cannot keep their crap together to make a good story to save their life. So why is it a bad thing that they left some of our favorite characters alone? Anna, you had that figure that was up the solo.
They're not. They're not leaving them alone. They just haven't gotten to them yet.
Anna, who was that person that you just lifted up, that little action figure? Who was it? The daughter of the Solos.
Jaina?
I don't think he likes you.
What'd they do to that? They left her alone. They left her
No. They didn't leave her alone. They completely erased her and they replaced her with Kylo Ren.
It's not disrespectful to the fans because they're just doing as what George Lucas did. So,
That's not at all what George Lucas did. Kathleen Kennedy said none of this existed. George Lucas used the expanded universe.
He overwrote it.
Well, George Lucas created Star Wars. He's allowed to change things.
Now Disney owns Star Wars, and they're allowed to
Disney didn't create Star Wars. They're changing someone else's creation.
That's what happens every time you make a work.
And that's why we're in this trial. We're not arguing on if they would have done a good job with it. That is not what was on trial.
Okay, what you're saying right now is, hey, go ahead and go 55 miles an hour in a school
That's
zone.
not what I said. Don't put words in my mouth.
How?
But they are adapting it.
Don't you call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight glob of grease?
I might actually blow up C-3PO. Bastardizing Luke Skywalker. That was an FU. Everything that Disney has done since they got Star Wars is a fuck you, and a hard fuck you with sandpaper and everything.
In episode 4, when Obi-Wan was killed, there was no implication that Leia knew him at that time. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. None whatsoever.
However, did not, when they're breaking her out of the cell, did she not reply going, Ben Kenobi is here? Where is he? She immediately recognized that name in the cell. Did she not?
Yes, she recognizes the name. However, she does not have any kind of emotional connection, which she would have had having this grand adventure in Disney Star Wars. She's very formal and knows of him in reputation, not personally, and nor does she weep when he dies or evince any kind of emotion whatsoever.
Are you aware of everything that Leia did on the Falcon after he died?
Well, I didn't see her take a shit.
Well, it appears
What a way to end it.
It appears the proceedings is, I guess, Mr. Johnson is left to work on his trilogy, but and voting is open for count 8 as we speak. But someone else is joining us now. Droid, you might be, Droid, you might be familiar with, Mr. C-3PO.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, Mr. 3PO. Thank you for joining us today. And this is, of course, the red-armed version of Mr.
The only
C-3PO.
version that exists, Judge.
Yes, precisely. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Oh, I don't know. I've been all of the films, and I've been treated rather well. I think I've probably been handled the best by Disney Star Wars. So, I'm okay.
Your Honor, before we proceed any further, I'm afraid I'm going to have to excuse myself from these proceedings.
Thank you,
I have
Mr. Drinker.
other things, unfortunately, that I have to do, but I did want to drop in and just say that Disney Star Wars absolutely sucks, and I hope that justice gets done today.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drinker. We appreciate you. Good luck on your future endeavors. Thank you. Okay. All right.
And with that, I can't let one whiskey snob disappear without me following suit. And I will say this, I agree with Critical Drinker that Disney Star Wars sucks. But I will also say that all Star Wars has always sucked. I know you love it, and that is okay. I love lots of things that suck. But in spite of my protestations to the original trilogy, let me simply reiterate that what has come after has been disrespectful to the people who do like the things that suck. They have taken something that was an actual magical transitory moment in film, revolutionizing what sci-fi was with interesting characters, albeit lacking development and plot and acting, and they have made it into something far, far worse, far more insidious, and far more marketing-driven, product-driven, and soulless and disgusting. So cheers to you all. Thanks for having me on. Sorry I couldn't stay longer. Peace, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Ricada. Cheers. I'm going to be joining him at happy hour very soon. We will be doing a happy hour after the events. Before voting is open for count 8, before we show the video for count 9, for the vote on the final count, I'm going to read some of these super chats. We have a significant number from those in the jury. Praise the defense for handling an impossible task, says Mr. Tickle Trunk. Don R. says Disney's slow and painful murder of Star Wars is nothing in comparison to the murder of my soul. Side note, bring Snyder and Walter Hamada to court, says Dan R. for 5. Steve Carruthers for 2. What do we do with witches? Search your feelings. No comprendo for 5. Star Wars Drag Celebration is front and center. White Umbrella for 10 euros. No, 10 pounds. Your Honor, I would like to see The Last of Us Part 2 put on trial. While I realize this is a video game and not a movie, many witnesses featured in this trial would have much to say on the subject. Sci-Fi is Life for 10. Let's also not forget, they said that Star Wars shows there's no difference between good and evil. The Force is female and completely make Rey better than everyone else. Sorry, Dave, but you just didn't try. And Benjamin for 5, Critical Drinker, one of the best prosecutors working today, a terrific lawyer. KK took my baby away, says a serious man for 2. Bubbo Yogi for 5, rackets in a pink shirt, not guilty by reason of de gay. I think you meant Ricadas in a pink shirt. Ricada. Maybe he was going to see Barbie. Anna, you probably know. Was Nick going to see Barbie?
I sincerely hope for his sanity not.
All right. Slayer 94, DA the second for 2. I will make 1.5 hour movie called Goody Bud. I have no idea what that means. I changed my mind. Ricada's gayness, Anna's rack, guilty. All right. Darth Racer 777. In my opinion, the acting was competent in Star Wars. I disagree with Ricada. If it wasn't, nobody would have watched it. Benjamin for 10. Anna, be honest. Do you have now, or have you ever had a slave Leia costume? Ever worn it? ever thought about getting one? Anna?
Yes, I do have a Slave Leia costume. As a matter of fact, I got it out last night to get ready for a cosplay shoot. I have worn it to mini cons, but I don't believe I was over 18 for most of those, so I will never post those photos on the internet. But good news, if you back my current calendar now on Indiegogo, you will see some new professional shots very, very soon.
Well, post that in the chat. We'll have the link in the description for this episode. I have seen some of the calendar shots.
Oops, sorry.
And I think what I appreciate most, they're all in focus. All of the calendar shots are in focus. So there you go. Joining us also on the stream, before we get to our final count 9, a friend to all on the internet and beloved by some.
Oh, God.
Mr. Lofty Pixels.
Oh, no.
Welcome. I mean, hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Lofty.
What's going on? So, yeah, I wish Nick was here. It's unfortunate because he levied some heavy accusations, and I wanted to. I'll have to just beat him up at Anime Matsuri. I'll just give him a little kick to the nuts. We'll see. But nice to meet you, people, or see you.
Did you want to respond to any of his charges there?
Oh, if he was here, it'd be more fun. But yeah, he said that it's a law of reality, a law of physics, aerodynamics, or whatever the hell, that I have objectively bad tastes, and it's just not true, guys. It's just not true. I mean, look, people remember the bad. They remember the bad. They forget the good, right? That's a law of life. That's a physical reality. I shit on every Disney Plus show except one show, Moon Knight, and then what do I get for it? I'm the guy who shills for Disney Plus. Nope, no, I'm not going to buy it, guys. I don't buy it. It's not true.
Let's look at some more of these chat comments and questions before we get to our final video for count 9. Andy Lee for 20. Count 6, the closest the defense even came to being effective, but not valid. Darius White for 10. Please ask C-3PO, who the hell was he talking about when he said in The Rise of Palpatine, I'm taking the last look at my friends? Was he playing an unseen video in his head? 3PO?
Mr. Judge Gore, I was just reading the script that I was given. But, thinking about this and hearing all of you speaking, I think that Star Wars fans have been made to suffer. It's their lot in life.
Well, thank you for that. Benjamin for 10 says, Anna, be honest, do you... Oh, wait, we already got that one. Well, I will say this. If it is a guilty verdict, Anna will put on the costume.
Oh, boy.
What? At a later date and time.
At a later date and time in her calendar, which you can purchase for a reasonable sum at Indiegogo.com/
That's Star Wars Girl Calendar.
That's
What
Star
about that
Wars
Barbie?
Girl-
What about that Barbie calendar? What about that Barbie calendar, Anna? When's that coming?
I did a Barbie cosplay for this calendar.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there are nearly 2,000 people watching us live. Mr. Ing, you had a comment earlier I think relates to this.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said there are about 2,000 people watching us live. Mr. Ing, you had a comment earlier.
Yes, again, Your Honor, please instruct the jury to smash that like button, subscribe to the Film Threat YouTube channel, and hit those notifications. And again, continue to vote. This is America, not the Galactic Senate.
All right. Well, oh wait, we have a celebrity in the chat. Ms. Kathleen Kennedy for 5. Bow to me, little children. It goes on to say for another 5. Funny how grown men can cry over a petty little franchise that I destroyed. Pathetic. And she goes on to say somebody needs to call the Wambulance. So many little crybabies in here.
I'm for etiquette, not destruction.
And she goes on to say, Ryan will receive his trilogy. He will be rewarded for his service to me and Lucasfilm. All will understand in time. Rakeda is drunk.
Rakeda is drunk.
Well, there
the
you
only
go.
thing she's ever gotten right in this whole universe.
Doug B says, execute order 199. And Mexican Iron Man says, Point of order, Baby Ryan Johnson is canceled since I heard his Mexican comment. Point of order, my skin is brown as walnuts. Well, there you are. Let's voting is voting closed for count 8?
I believe so.
Count 8, voting is closed. Count 9, voting shall open for count 9. Let's take a look at the debate, highlights from the debate for count 9.
Previously on Critics Court.
Why do you act like it's so malicious rather than just a dumb marketing team?
Because it is malicious. Because what you're doing, and I'll use their terms, you are othering members of the fandom.
What is so wrong about taking us back to Jabba's palace? Why can we not have our dancing Twi'leks and our cocaine body Carrie Fishers? Name one voluptuous, attractive vixen. And why is it so wrong that we cannot have a little bit of TNA for our R&R?
Well, here at Lucasfilm, we
are a
love
bunch
diversity.
are a bunch of cuck
And-
simps. Yes, I rest my case.
What is wrong with trying to not objectify other people of the cast?
That's what you've been doing for a decade, and it sucked, and nobody likes it.
I will say this, that Rose Tico is simply just a miscalculation of what they think is popular. They just,
No, I think it was entirely calculated. I think it was entirely calculated because that's what they want to
wanted
sexualize.
Rose Tico to be successful. It's not like they intended her.
Well, yes,
to be
they
a
must have, because Kelly Marie Tran is a very attractive woman, and they made her as unattractive as possible. That is...
I agree. I agree.
That's a creative decision? Really? Many others have been called alt-right by people who work at Lucasfilm. That's specifically the activism I'm talking about. Throwing out that kind of hyperbolic bullshit that divides the fandom and automatically turns people off. What did a major executive, LaToya Revenue, what did she get caught saying when they decided to get political and fight the state of Florida over the parental rights bill? She said, our not so secret gay agenda. I just really don't know how that can't be perceived as absolute activism. And if you don't think that's happening at Lucasfilm, just go to their whiteboard for the story group. Diversity was so important to them, and they had to put it up there twice, right up there with dinosaurs. And what have we gotten? A lot of diversity, and we got some dinosaurs. If you saw Mandalorian season 3, and you know what it all had in common? It sucked. To not put Han, Luke, and Leia in a scene together, I can't even think that Jar Jar Abrams or Rian Johnson wouldn't think about that for a moment. And I think what's behind that was trying to prop up their character, Rey. I bypassed the compressor. I mean, you got to be kidding me with that line.
How is it activism as opposed to, say, bad storytelling or just bad narrative decisions?
Kathleen Kennedy stated the Force is female, announcing that she's going to be, and this is going to be an intersectional feminist Disney Star Wars, which it has been.
That has been debunked in an earlier trial.
Oh, so you're saying the Force isn't female? You're saying they haven't diminished male characters systematically throughout the entire
I'm saying that
run
the
of
Force
Disney?
is
No, and this is the big failing of the defense is they haven't named one positive masculine figure in the entire series. They can't name one because exactly what you said. They have to emasculate the men in order to rise everybody else up.
All right, so we take Han and we make him a bad dad, just like he was in Blade Runner 2049, just like he was in Indiana Jones. Okay, you do it once. Then the next movie, you did the same damn thing to Luke Skywalker. This stops being, well, this is just bad writing. Yeah, it's all circumstantial evidence, but I think I have a lot more circumstantial evidence that the Force is fucking female in Disney Star Wars.
Let's have a quick hypothetical real quick, because authors write what they know, right? So what's the hardest thing that these writers have gone through? Their dad's leaving. So they left them, and now they're writing about it. It's their real life experience. All they know is bad dads, okay? Bad dads. Why is that political? Answer me that, Mr. Beekler.
Voting is now open for the final count in the trial of Disney Lucasfilm for the murder of Star Wars. Count number 9. You now have approximately 5 minutes. And then, Mr. Ng, we will read those verdicts. Comments from those in attendance. And thank you, There will be a sentencing today. Is all I'm going to say. Mr. Pixels, Anna, any comments?
Yeah, something Gary touched on, which is the fact that they didn't include the three of them in a shot together in a sequence. I'm not sure now. There's nothing wrong with what he said, but I'm not sure if that would have made the movie any better. Look what they did with the Jurassic World Dominion cast with Ellie, Alan Grant, and Dr. Malcolm. That it almost made it was almost more insulting to include them in that pile of garbage than to not include them. And it was just it just took me out of the movie, man. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think they should have had them in the movie?
Yes, well, if you watch Star Trek Picard season 3 and you get after going through the first 2 terrible seasons and then getting the entire crew back on the deck of the Enterprise, as a Star Trek fan myself, that was a huge moment, and I think every other Star Trek fan can agree. I mean, it revived Star Trek Picard, even though it was its last season. I mean, it was the only show where they did the final episode in theaters because it was so popular and people wanted to see that. Everyone had been waiting decades to see Han, Luke, and Leia together, and we didn't get that. They could have had that moment just like a random third season of a TV show, and not a multi-billion-dollar franchise that they were working on, and instead they threw it out. And that's why we are where it is.
Yeah, and going to count one. I mean, that was the expectation. We wanted to see that, even if it was as long as you saw Luke on screen in that first episode. We wanted it. And so, would it have been better? Yes, but just how much? And I think we know they probably would have screwed that one up too. But I think it would have been better.
Well, that's also how it was advertised when they started doing everything, and it was the Vanity Fair articles, Rolling Stone. They had all of them in the promotional imagery together. So it's like, oh, so you promote it this way, and then you give us something completely and utterly fundamentally different.
Like the Barbie trailer. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have Luke doing the teaser trailers, and to kind of anticipate that his final appearance or his upcoming appearance in that first episode, only to be given what we got. I mean, that is the whole thing around point one. We were promised something and we didn't get it.
Do you guys think that if Abrams had control of the entire trilogy, as opposed to that whatever their plan was, that he would have done something like that?
No.
No,
well, maybe.
I almost think the reverse. I think this will be controversial, but I think Rian Johnson, if he had been given the 3 episodes, it probably would have been better than what JJ.
Well, has anyone read the Colin Trevorrow script? I don't know if that involves any of them like meeting up. I haven't read that. I also have the Alex Garland Halo script on my phone. I still haven't read. That's a different conversation though.
Well,
has anyone read that?
Colin Trevorrow did with Jurassic Park, I don't think we would have gotten something good.
Right.
We would have gotten something that's just a cheesy popcorn flick with no substance. But
low effort,
it would have been, and I wouldn't say good or bad. I would just say it wouldn't have been disrespectful.
Yeah. That's fair.
I would say that Lucasfilm, when they bought George's original script for the sequels, I know they're holding on to it, and they're never going to let that one out.
Let's take a look at Mr. Blackwood's sketches from today's proceedings. It looks like appears to be a mouse. You might see one in court today. What else do we see? That's a Mr. Rian Johnson, surrounded by gay stormtroopers. Mexican Iron Man is there. Love Mexican Iron Man. That's amazing. What else are we seeing? A lot of amazing sketches here. The voting for count 9, and there's the handsome judge. I love.
Looks like Ewan McGregor a little bit there.
I'll take it with a lightsaber-ish looking.
That looks like attack of the show, Chris Gore. Actually,
there you go. Not bad. Voting is closed. All counts. It is time to read the verdicts.
Oh boy.
The moment is here.
Oh, okay.
There's Kathleen Kennedy. There you are. Here we go. Mr. Ing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ing, let me take a look at these for a moment here. I'm going to take a look at this. I want to see for myself. I see that all 9, the verdicts for all 9 counts are here in the trial of Disney Lucasfilm for the murder of the Star Wars franchise. Mr. Ing, are you prepared to read? And just to be clear, I want to make this absolutely clear. It must be 95% or more in order to be guilty on a count. So I don't want anyone assuming that this trial is going to go a certain way. Mr. Ing, are you ready?
Yes.
Let's begin. Just a moment.
Just like a real courtroom.
Just like a real courtroom.
Yeah.
There's tension music.
All right. Are you ready?
Is that too loud?
Now it is, yeah.
What does the chat say? Is this music too loud?
It's like Oppenheimer loud. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, Alan will need something.
As long as it drowns me out, it'll be enough.
Like a
Bring
nuke's
it
about
down
to
to a
drop.
reasonable level.
Yeah, you might want to turn it down, yeah.
All right.
All right.
It's
Your
now
Honor.
time. It's now time. It's now time. Are we ready? Our intrepid director, Glenn Brown, is here. We're going to start with count 1. Count 1 in the trial of Disney Lucasfilm versus Star Wars.
Your Honor, on count 1 of fraudulent misrepresentation, the jury finds Lucas Disney Film guilty with 800 votes at 96%.
Please
Your Honor, on count 2 of fraudulent misuse of Canon, the jury finds Lucasfilm guilty, Lucasfilm Disney guilty, but only at 95% with 1,000 votes.
Please wait. No, you're muted. Are you
am I
muted?
muted?
No, he's good. He's good now.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, you're fine. Okay.
All right.
Count now.
I'm just
Count
waiting
3.
for the graphics. here.
Count 3.
Count 3.
Please, Mr. Ing.
Count
please
2.
take this seriously. Take this as seriously as you would any fake courtroom.
Yes.
Okay, count 3.
Your Honor, on count 3, the jury finds Lucasfilm Disney for on count 3 of negligent handling and mismanagement of the Star Wars franchise. The jury finds Lucasfilm Disney guilty at 97% and 1,000 votes.
Count 4.
Your Honor, on count... Oh, go ahead. What?
No, count 4.
Yes. On count 4 of malicious introduction of current day politics, the jury finds Lucasfilm Disney guilty at 98% with 1.2 thousand votes. You've seen that one a lot. On count 5 of demystifying lore, the jury finds Lucasfilm Disney guilty at 95% with 1,200 votes. On count 6, a blatant disregard and threatening of fans, the jury finds Lucasfilm Disney guilty at 97% with 1,300 votes. On count 7 of negligent misuse of legacy characters, the jury finds Lucasfilm Disney guilty at 98% and 1,200 votes. This is a close one. But on count 8, blatant misuse of the expanded universe, The jury finds Lucasfilm Disney guilty at 95%.
It was a close. That was a close one. And Mr. Ing, for the final count in the trial of the fans versus Disney Lucasfilm for the murder of the Star Wars franchise, this is the final count in our trial.
Your Honor, on count 9, conspiring with and maliciously hiring activists, the jury finds Lucasfilm Disney guilty at 98% of 1,300 votes. Your Honor, on all counts, the jury has found Lucasfilm Disney guilty.
All right.
It's like the Johnny Depp trial.
All right. That about wraps up this trial, but it's not over. It's not over, because what we're going to be doing is put up that first poll, Ms. P. Coffee. Now something even more important than the results of this trial, and all of them, I think the closest it came was 95%. I'm shocked that there wasn't at least one or two of the charges of not guilty. Perhaps we should have raised the percentage, but we put up our first poll. We're going to put up 3 polls. There'll be 4 choices on the first poll and another 4 choices on the second poll. Each poll will be up for just a few minutes, not a full 5 minutes, just a few minutes, Ms. P. Coffee. 4 choices and another 4 choices. Then the winner of each of those polls will battle it out. What franchise will appear in Critics' Court next? Any speculation, Mr. Ing?
Well,
and the first poll, let's take a look at what is the first poll. Could you read off the choices?
Yes. In the first poll, it will be the DC Cinematic Universe as a whole, or specifically DC's Zack Snyderverse, or will it be Doctor Who, and finally the Transformers?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm
So
surprised you guys don't have Lord of the Rings on there.
Yeah, I'm surprised at some things. Gonna have to contemplate your error, Chris, here with this one.
Well, no, this is just the first round.
Yeah, we're just doing round one. Yeah, we're gonna vote on which one.
And by the way, this is based on suggestions from this audience that have been watching the show. I mean, should we do another round? Let's do another round. Lord of the Rings. Let's put Lord of the Rings in there. What else? Game of Thrones.
James Bond.
James Bond.
Good one.
Okay, so the next, so we're gonna do
Jurassic Park. Oh, sorry.
We have Jurassic Park. So we're
Okay.
gonna do 3 rounds,
Okay.
and then we'll get that down to one final vote. So
Lord of the
the
Rings, James Bond.
do you have that document up?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. We have Lord of the Rings, James Bond, and what were the other 2?
What
Game
about
of Thrones.
He-Man and She-Ra? Those ones.
We do have
we do have He-Man on there.
Star Trek, Terminator,
Star Trek is on there.
Yeah, Star Trek is on there.
All right, so we're gonna do 3 sets of 4 to get down to a voting of 3, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Ms. P. Coffee, could you nod if you understand?
Yeah, no, she's getting it.
She's doing
so
it.
Game of Thrones, and are we putting Jurassic Park on there as the 4th one, or?
It's already in the list. Do you see the list?
Yeah, she's doing that now. What's the 4th one of the 3rd poll? Lord of the Rings, James Bond, Game of Thrones, and what?
What did you say, Mr. Pixels?
I said James Bond. I said Jurassic Park. I said
James Bond. Put James Bond in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that. We need a 4th one. Lord of the
well-
Rings, James Bond, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, chat was saying like Terminator, Star Trek was maybe the other one that you were thinking
Star
of.
Trek's on the second poll. Terminator. Someone said Halo.
Indiana Jones. Although
Witcher is.
And also, stay tuned for the sentencing.
Oh yeah, why
It's
don't we
about-
do Indiana Jones then?
All right. As you're voting there, you continue to vote. We're going to put those polls up for just a few minutes. So you're not going to have a lot of time. Then we'll do the final vote. But before we do that,
the MCU or no?
Yeah, MCU's on the second
No,
poll.
MCU's already on there.
Yeah, second poll is He-Man, Jurassic Park, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Star Trek.
All right. Well,
Oh, Halo is a good one too.
it needs to be noted that Disney has been found guilty. And I have someone here for the sentencing.
Oh, I mean, sorry, that's your job. Sorry, Mickey.
Hiya, pal.
First, Mr. Mouse, I just want to say, I never thought I would see you in this courtroom.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I want to just express to you that this is a colossal disappointment for most of us fans. When many of us heard that Star Wars was acquired by Lucasfilm, many were excited. Many thought that that Star Wars and Lucasfilm were going into capable hands. The hands of the Walt Disney Company that for years has created so many beloved classics, beginning with yourself.
It's true. We did the best that we could, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
So I'll just say in this sentencing that Ms. Kennedy's services are no longer wanted, that I would express to everyone here watching as part of the jury that you withhold your money for the Disney Star Wars to be spent on other more beloved franchises. Mr.
Not everything can be blamed on Kathleen Kennedy. She's
Well,
just
Mr.
doing what Bob Iger told her to do.
Well, Mr. Mouse, do you have anything to say for yourself?
I think this galaxy needs to move far, far away.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mouse. I'll allow you to stick around to see the next franchise that will be coming up. We're going to go do some super chats here. We have a lot of them started. Before we get to the
Do
final,
we want to just move right on to the next poll?
move to the next poll. So keep track of the winner. The winner of the next three polls will be in a final poll. Do you understand?
Yes.
I do have to take my exit here, unfortunately.
Okay.
But
Thank you so much, Anna.
for having me on, and chat. Good on you, members of the jury, for producing the correct verdict.
And
Thank you very
much. Anna. Take care. Thank you so much for the trial.
Hi, Anna.
It also was fun hanging out in San Diego. We'll
Oh,
chat
yeah.
soon. Okay.
I will catch you all later. Good luck.
at
with your
Missouri.
next
Thank
trial.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Here we go.
Mickey,
Nick,
ooh, nasty.
Nick is wrong on episode 4. Hail the Drunkler. Says as is wonky eyebrow for £2. Alexander Dukas.
The second poll is up now.
The second poll is now up. Please go vote now. Okay, can we visually show like what the final 3 will be? Alexander Dukas for 2. Be sure to pre-order Attack of the Doc. Thank you very much. Go to attackofthedoc.com or go to shop.filmthreat.com. Obi Pixel for £4.99. Count 7. Misusing legacy characters permanently harmed the Lucas dynasty. Disney's current actions with their legacy has led to a $12 billion loss. Geek Truth 64 for $199. Is this enough money to kick Ryan Johnson? Oh, you didn't even need.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's
Although I
booted.
don't know if Mickey's much better.
Leon K for 5.
Shut up,
The
Mickey.
mythology of Star Wars with George Lucas and Bill Moyers. Watch that interview to hear a master storyteller student of Joseph Campbell.
Oh, can I that super chat that reminds me, there's a George Lucas Christopher Nolan interview on YouTube that's fantastic, and he gives a lot of insight into the making of Star Wars A New Hope. He mentions that Spielberg is the only one that actually thought it could work. A bunch of other filmmakers, including like Brian De Palma, were telling him that it's retarded and it's a stupid concept and then not to make it. So it's Christopher Nolan and George Lucas. It's on YouTube. It's a really good interview.
Thank you for that, Mr. Pixels.
You're welcome.
Ricada is full of beans. Wait, I had that. Did I have that one? Okay, Ricada is full of beans, says the chat for 2. Darth Racer 7775. One thing that has been confirmed for me: Ricada is full of shit about Star Wars. Well, that's just your opinion. Mike, wait for 5. Thank you, Anna. Very prepared and professional for your statements. Great job. AJDZ just sends in 799. Thank you for that. Slayer 960 a second for 2. Goody Bud Bunch Cheech and Chong parody. It's a weed comedy. And Snakes and Funerals for 2. That's jury tampering, Kathy. Sammy Scott for 5. Lofty, is it true you were paid off by the prosecution to sabotage the defense? Lofty?
No. It had my family, and I had nothing. There was nothing I can do about it, guys. It was a torture situation. It was a Gollum situation going on there. They were torturing me and all. Yeah, it's true.
It's all good. OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars for 2. Anna is number 12 on your calendar. Slave Leia, perfect. And we've got new members, Doug B and Press Tilda. Thank you for that. Game Gene the Machine for 20. For all the intersectional feminist activism and female empowerment, they had yet to pass the Bechdel test. Well, there you are. Stephen Wasik for 10. Congratulations to the defense. You played yourself. Cope and seed. You get what you deserve. Well, there you are. And interesting. Mr. Buttcrack, threat level 1, has been a member for 5 months. Says Star Wars is dead. And then look at this. Press Tilda gifted 10 Film Threat memberships. Hey, join us on Discord. We will refresh that Discord link after this. Go to the community tab. Join us on the Discord. Continue the conversation. Just a few more. Snakes and Funerals for 2. Give her the chair. Send Kathy to the poop dimension. I don't even know what that means. Garrett Hayden. Which Nimrod voted not guilty? Says Ben Dowdy for 2. Spoilers, I guess. Sammy Scott for 2. Rapella Fella on stream. The Big LS show on YT. And Kathleen Kennedy for 10. I will never submit to your verdicts. All must bow to me and beg for forgiveness. The power of demons and the underworld shall unite. The darkness unto one succubus, me. Well, I have no idea what was going on with that. Mexican Iron Man for 10, Your Honor. With guilty verdicts now as a matter of public record, Mexican Iron Bailiff is ready to take Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm into custody and carry out sentencing by your command, Your Honor. Well, by your command is more of a Battlestar Galactica thing. So, all right. Poll 2 is ending in 1 minute. No, it's over. Poll 2 is over. One last poll, and then we will get to the final 3 franchises, one of which will be our next trial. So poll number 3 is beginning. Is that right, Ms. P. Coffee? Just nod. Poll number 3. Poll number 2 is just ending.
Yeah, just a moment. She'll have poll 3 up, which is you'll be voting on Lord of the Rings, James Bond, Game of Thrones, or Indiana Jones.
Wow.
All right. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. Wish we could have hung out in San Diego. 200 Watt Studio for 5. Your Honor, I motion to send these verdicts to Disney Lucasfilm so they can do what's right in light of this. Well, I would like to think that they listen to fans, but I think, history is kind of telling us that's probably not the case. Jake Skywalker for 199. Throw them to the Sarlacc. Tomorrow, lad, for 5. How about a single hearing or short trial for Barbie? I think one-offs could work for some things too. That's something we could consider. We could just put a movie on trial. What do you think, Mr. Ng?
A single movie?
Yes, a one trial, 1 day, one movie.
Oh, yeah. If we did it that way.
Okay. Thank you, Tomorrow Lad. That's a good suggestion. I don't think that any of our trials going forward will be as long as this one.
Thanks, Sammy.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, Sammy Scott. I hope your family is now safe, Lofty. Sad to hear.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, Hans. I got Poe and Finn to rescue them. I promised to take them to a gay nightclub in Coruscant, so they helped me out.
And let's see. Final comment here. Final comments here. TT for 5. I would rather watch Spaceballs 2 than anything from Disney Lucasfilm. All right. Any final thoughts, Mr. Mouse?
Well, we sure had some great times, haven't we, pals? We've been through so many adventures together, and I'm grateful for every one of them. Life is full of surprises, and I've learned that no matter what challenges come our way, the best thing we can do is face them with a smile and a positive attitude. And hey, no matter where life takes us, I know one thing's for sure. We'll always be friends through thick and thin. Thanks for being there, all you Star Wars fans. We love your money.
Yikes. This is more embarrassing than that time you cucked out Minnie to Popeye, dude. What's wrong with you?
Well, I think it's time for you to go, Mr. Mouse, to jail. Goodbye, Mickey. Goodbye. The trial's over. You're guilty. All right. Finally got rid of Mr. Mouse there. There we go. We did get some drawings. All right. Poll number 3 is up.
I've just been told that Mickey is now on suicide watch.
Okay.
Did we say poll 2? The response, the finale. Did we
Yes.
mention it?
Yeah, poll 2 has been closed. We
Poll
do
2
have
is closed. Poll 3 is up. Then we're going to name the 3 franchises. You have to choose from one of the 3. One of the 3 only.
I see.
After the verdicts, we lost a couple hundred viewers. That's okay because you get to choose exactly what one's going to happen next. You know what I want to do? Let's get to happy hour. I want to do what Nick Rekieta was doing earlier.
Do it. I got a Jack Daniels behind me.
Well, there you go. All right, let's get to the bar.
By the way, let's see. Ms. P. Coffee just left a note. Another 10 membership from Press filled out. I don't know if that's a total of 20 or if it's just a repeat of the first 10.
As far as I'm concerned, it's happy hour. I'm off the clock. I'm just going to hang out with you guys now.
Is that just loud for me or is that loud for everybody?
The judge is drinking now. I want to toast everyone to a successful trial, to a very successful trial. I'm not going to lie. We were making this all up as we went along. It's been a lot of fun. I want to thank all of the members of the jury for your attendance in court. I want to thank our new subscribers for coming to the channel. Appreciate that. Todd Blackwood, our producer, Glenn Brown, Lord Thoth, all of our mods, Paulie from Latino Slant, Mexican Iron Man, Ms. P. Coffee, my colleague, Mr. Allening, and also everyone who came on, Mr. Pixels, yourself, and everyone, Drinker, everyone who came on and terms as far part of the defense, Nerdrotic, D-Day Cobra, Ryan Kinnell, Anna, that Star Wars girl, so many just helping put this together. I was recently at San Diego Comic-Con where I had probably a lot more of these. And one thing I heard consistently, which was odd, not just how much people liked the show, but how much people felt the show was cathartic. So, yeah, it was very cathartic for a lot of people, which is why I'm really looking forward to Mr. Blackwood is putting together a book. He'll be doing a book. He has a Kickstarter. We're gonna share that with you. And Todd Blackwood is putting together a collection book. If you could show that on screen, Todd. It is a book of the collection of drawings that took place during Critics Court. That is coming out, and we will let everyone know on the channel when that is available. It'll be a Kickstarter. And I'm going to buy several copies because that's going on my coffee table and actually right around my bar as well. So I think if you took that to Comic-Con, you would sell quite a few of those. Oh, Todd, we'll have that. You're going to do the Kickstarter. I assume you're going to get more copies printed. Let's do a signing at LA Comic-Con in December. Okay? Thumbs up on that. Thumbs up on that. Poll number 3. Is poll number 3 closed?
Yes, it is.
Okay, now it is important. Hey, wait a sec. Someone joining us today. I knew he'd show up. When drinks are being served, Mr. Tom Connors is here. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you,
hey, Tom.
Prosecutor Tom Connors. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hello, gentlemen.
So good to
how's
have you
everyone
here. We just, Disney, Lucasfilm has been found guilty on all charges.
Excellent. I hope my testimony helped.
Your prosecution was great.
The prosecution.
You showed up your role as prosecutor, you did an excellent job. We showed many clips with you. We're now celebrating with a drink at the bar. It's happy hour now. Oh, hey,
like
there we
that.
go.
That's a
there
ninja.
we go. Hey,
look
look at that.
That's awesome.
Hey. That's awesome. And Mr. Todd Blackwood announced he's going to be doing a book, book
sweet.
of collection. Show the cover of the book. It's going to be all the sketches from the trial, almost 300 sketches, probably more.
Wow, I'm gonna have to get my hands on that.
Yeah, check out this cover.
Oh, sweet.
They're just
Volume 1. There you go.
That's the Trevorrow script just blown out the window right there.
Yeah, there you go. But now we have something really important. Alan, I would like for you to read. It's now time to vote. It's time to vote on. Okay, wait. Before we get, I got to build up. I got to build this up. Just a minute. Alan, you've now voted on 12 different franchises that should be in Critics Court. Mr. Ing, would you let us know what are people voting for? The final franchises to be considered for Critics Court. What are the finalists?
Okay, so I'll just announce the winners or the losers of each poll. With poll number 1, the choices were Doctor Who, the DC Cinematic Universe, the Snyderverse, and Transformers. And coming in at 44%, it's Doctor Who.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Unexpected.
I mean, technically, maybe DC got the split vote there. Otherwise,
That's
that
true.
would have
All right.
been
The next franchise and the next poll.
Okay, so this is the more interesting one. Poll 2 was Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Trek, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and Jurassic Park /World. Coming in at 44%, only 1% ahead of the its runner-up. It is the Marvel Cinematic Universe at 44%.
Whoa! Okay.
Star Trek was 43%.
Doctor Who and Marvel. Sorry, what? What'd you say?
Star Trek was 43%, so it was a 1% difference.
That's crazy.
Very close. Very close. And the final poll, the final results of the final poll.
Yes. All right. For poll 3, it was between Lord of the Rings, James Bond, Game of Thrones, and Indiana Jones. And the winner, or shall I say loser, at 51%, it's Lord of the Rings.
I knew it.
Wow.
All right. So we are voting between Doctor Who, the MCU, and Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Now, this is really important. It all comes down to this. The final poll, and we're going to leave it open for 5 minutes. We have 1,600 plus people watching live. This poll will be up for 5 minutes. 3 choices. Who comes to Critics Court next? Who's going to be in my courtroom for Critics Court next?
Is that your final answer?
What is speculation?
Can I insert an evidence thing into the courtroom?
Sure.
Well, one of our commenters, one of our cineasti, I believe, raised a good point in the comments, mentioning the fact that perhaps the MCU in the Critics Court may, in fact, be a little bit too derivative of the Star Wars Critics Court. So I just thought maybe get some thoughts on that, or maybe the chat can talk amongst
here's
themselves
what I
about that.
think. Can I tell you my thoughts here? I think the most interesting trial would be Lord of the Rings.
I agree.
Let me just say why. Because it's a mixed bag. You have the original Lord of the Rings trilogy done by Peter Jackson, brilliant. Then you have the Hobbit trilogy, also done by Peter Jackson, awful. It did have its highlights,
Sort of
not
mid.
gonna lie.
Yeah, maybe.
It
Yeah.
had some highlights, but it was not. It strayed too much from the original material, I believe, and I don't even know the original material all that well. But I know my Rankin Bass cartoons. In addition, then you have the Amazon Lord of the Rings, show.
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. So Lord of the Rings is a mixed bag. It could
And
be
you
a
have the
very
Tolkien
mixed-
novels, and you have the cartoons in the 80s or 70s, and you also have the Rings of Power season 2 coming out probably around the time you're going to be doing this.
So it would be a more interest to me. The Marvels would be like the Star Wars trial because it's also another Disney property. And I'm not trying to influence your vote. I'm just trying to say.
But they were talking about it in the comment. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I think it's Lord of the Rings would probably be more interesting because I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. And joining us for this, I want to bring on Mr. Jesse Snyder. Jesse, hey, it's got your Kickstarter, which we should plug. We're gonna plug everyone. Oh wait, you're muted. You're muted. Muted.
Am I muted now?
Yeah, no, you're perfect.
If you guys are comic book guys, I got a really funny book, kind of loosely inspired by Monty Python's Life of Brian, where religious figures are to battle the bands, kicking each other's ass and deciding the reigning ideology of the day. Obviously, Jesus has been winning. But, I had to come on for a second because my biggest fandom next to the Muppets and comic books is Star Trek. And you took the only optimistic vision of our future and you made a Black Ops television show about the optimistic future that was presented by Gene Roddenberry. I mean, guys, can we please add that to the final poll? It was only 1% away from consideration, and it deserves to be put on trial.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm sorry, we started talking about Star Trek?
It was so close, though. It could have been an accounting error. It could have been an election fraud.
Okay, hold on. So
it could have been voter fraud.
Wait.
Do we want to add Star Trek to the list?
I mean, look.
Have we put up the poll yet? Add Star Trek.
No, not yet.
To
The
list.
poll's not up yet.
Trump lost Arizona by less than 1%, guys.
I gotta be. I spilled my drink. All right, continue talking amongst
That's
yourselves.
alcohol abuse.
I'm just going to add this. I'm just going to say Donald Trump lost Arizona by less than 1%. I think we should consider voter fraud and perhaps bring Star Trek back into the equation.
Okay, so Chris, should we add Star Trek to the list?
As a fourth option.
Echo-based network also sends
I'll
it a super
make the
chat
call.
saying that for what it's worth.
And hey, I should also mention, because of this trial, me and Mr. Blackwood have linked up, and he and I just started working on a really fun adult comedy comic book, a little bit related to what we're talking about here today. So we'll be really excited to actually talk about that in the near future. So thank you to Film Threat and Disney Star Wars on Trial for connecting me with one of my new besties, Mr. Blackwood.
Oh, who's that?
So we are.
Okay.
The poll is about to go up, and we are.
No, wait. Okay, so Alan, let me put you full screen. Could you? What are the choices? These are the final choices for what's going to be.
I think that
court case.
The crowd noises got a little loud again. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah,
because they're talking about how Star Trek needs to be on the poll.
They're all excited.
Okay. So the final four. Final four choices
is Doctor Who, the MCU, Star Trek, and Lord of the Rings.
Okay, you're going to decide which one is it. Is the poll going up? Tell me when the poll's up. Let's give it 5 minutes so people have a chance, and we can also continue to debate. And don't. We'll give you fair warning for when it's about to end because I want people to get their statements in. Anyone that would like to chime in on this.
Yeah, don't count out Doctor Who either.
Rings of
Okay,
Power.
the poll is up. Consider the poll.
Poll is up.
So
Poll is
I
up
just
now?
want to argue on behalf of making sure that either Star Trek, MCU, or Doctor Who. Doctor Who was really egregious, but still, Doctor Who. It's like one season of screwing it up. Star Trek and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've got dozens of entries at this point into contention for why they have totally tanked some of our favorite characters, favorite concepts. I mean, Lord of the Rings doesn't even measure up.
I would throw in the Gollum video game in there as another fucked up situation. But
all
I
right,
would think that also if Star Trek comes up, though, I bet you we would have to get Andre as a special prosecutor since
Yes. Yeah.
he was the one who kind of established this whole idea that there is a separation, which was kind of recently confirmed in so many ways.
Chat is asking if you were drawing Hunter Biden.
What are you drawing?
That Hunter Biden.
Oh, it's
Come on, man.
Okay. All right.
Spock.
It's illogical that Jesus wanted the best airports.
Yeah.
Can anyone name this episode Spock?
Star Trek is winning. Star Trek is winning.
I can't see it on my own thing.
Don't give away.
I'm not getting the
Don't
vote.
get okay. Wait.
Don't give it away.
Okay.
You better go stop Star Trek from winning, everybody, or help it.
Again, I think because Star Trek. Look, I feel like if you do Marvel and Star Trek, you kind of know what's going to win, or it's going to be guilty. But if it's Lord of the Rings, I'm not sure because there are also
Because
legit.
I give such a powerful defense. That's why.
It's also divided as well. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
That
I'm
is the
joking.
most divided. I think.
Yeah, because people really love
I
Rings
take
of Power.
glasses.
Well, no, what we mean is license-wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I just think Lord of the
That'd be
Rings is a
interesting.
more
there you go.
interesting fandom than Star Trek. That's just my opinion. But
Which is a
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
I
well,
think.
I mean, Neurotic will get on here and crap all over it, but we can get Doomcock to do an equally good job for the Star Trek episodes.
Yeah.
I would love to do Ninja Turtles, but I don't think there's enough interest in that.
Oh, we could get Professor Tolkien on as a defender.
Can I just want to show this video. I just want to show this video because we thought we were going to need this, but we didn't need it.
Of course you didn't.
I didn't want to go to waste.
I'm glad we made that one.
Glenn Brown.
That's what it would have
not
looked like,
working
everybody.
on the part. What's that?
I said that's what it would have looked like, everyone.
Right. But
Maybe to use it next time.
okay, so
Damn it.
don't say anything. But how many minutes has it been? Has it been enough? Like we should get over 1,000 votes at least before we close it.
You can't close
Oh,
it
you
at
got
3
well
a.m.
over that.
3 a.m.
Oh, over 1,000
Shoving
so
a bunch of
far?
And
ballots.
it's been 5 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
You should probably
We're going to
close
close the poll. We're going to close the poll in 1 minute, and then Alan will announce the next critics court.
Rigged.
Everybody in the chat's like, I rigged it. I'm sorry, I lost Star Trek and they ruined my favorite show.
Well, we don't know that that's the winner or not.
That's the one time, though, I'd have to say Lofty did make a good point that basically going after the MCU would be a lot like just retrying Star Wars all over.
Yeah, that was
again.
Yeah, it would just be, I mean, yeah.
The same type of situation. Yeah.
Before we announce it, we have so many chats. Let's do some before it's finally announced. Hayden75, threat level 1, has been member for 2 months, says throw KK to the Rancor. And Press Tilda gifted 10 film threat memberships. Sci-fi is life for 5. How long would it take to prepare for both sides to prepare the case? I don't know. We're going to wait a few months. We're not going to do this right away. Critics Court is a big production, as much as it looks like we're kind of winging it, there's more to it. James Ketter for 10. You need to put the concept of DEI on trial because of all the different franchises it has destroyed.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way to get Film Threat shut down.
Yeah. 200 watt studio for 2. If Mickey is on S watch, then turn off the cameras. Unlike Epstein, Mickey Epstein himself, says Tiki. David Nelson, we need t-shirts to mark the occasion. We should do Critics Court t-shirts.
Yeah.
Echo Base Network. Hey, Echo Base Network. Hail to all of you. Really hate my work schedule kept me from committing to being a part of this, but it has been great reacting live on our channel for this entire last episode, though. Well, thank you so much. We love EBN. TT for 5. Defense. Just because you didn't like it doesn't mean it isn't good. Prosecution. It's not entertainment if you're not entertained. BLK shirts for 999. MCU next on the docket.
Oh my goodness. I just realized something about if we put Star Trek on trial. Nobody watched it to defend it.
Right.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, who's going to defend that crap?
I didn't want to influence the chat.
I don't want to watch it.
I didn't want to influence. Yeah, I'm not watching
Mr. Tickle Trunk for 5. Amazon's Rings of Power isn't even official canon. They didn't have the rights. That trial would be the original trilogy versus the Hobbit movie.
Yeah, I've made this point before that some people don't understand it. It's
yeah.
Echo
Base Network.
Canon. It's actually. Do you realize that some people think that it's a prequel to the trilogy? People think that they think it's a prequel.
It's not their fault.
It's not,
because Amazon presented it that way. Yeah.
Echo Base Networks has put Star Trek on the final poll, which we did. Thank you for the suggestion. Sci-Fi is life for 2. As a Who fan, it's more than one season, my friend. It's a lot of seasons.
Yeah. Okay, the results are in, by the way.
Okay, wait, stop. Don't. We're gonna present
Not saying anything.
Sean Hu for 742. I hope we get to see all 4 of the final choices in Critics' Court eventually. It's possible. And Super Grova has become a new member, and Emily Kruger for 5. They turned Spock into a Key and Peele character in Strange New Worlds. And Lucas Garrett says, we got Star Wars out of the way. Star Trek is the logical next follow-up franchise to be tried. And thanks to the defense for taking on the impossible, says Robot Dues for 199. And Morgan Santo for 999. Need to do Mission Impossible once Part 2 comes out. That's the new thing. So, Alan.
Yes.
I want you to present it in reverse order. So start with the lowest percentage and then read it, so that, wait, I got to get the music going here.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Yeah, get the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music.
It will be a total surprise to everybody.
All right, wait a sec. So, hang on, we got
Puppy! Sorry, I got distracted by the dog.
Okay, Mr. Ing.
Okay, I
at the bottom.
You got to turn that down.
Okay.
That is hysterical, by the way.
All right. Third runner-up at 17%. It's the beautiful Doctor Who Jodie Whittaker. Okay. Second runner-up. Okay. Here we go. Second runner-up at 18%, just beating out Doctor Who.
Talk louder, I can't hear you. Talk louder, the music's too loud. Alan, what's the second runner-up?
You hear it? Okay, here we go. Second runner-up at 18%. It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay. All right. First runner-up. Which is going to tell us
first runner-up, in case the winner cannot fulfill their duty. The next.
I can't hear
you. Okay, so in case the winner cannot fulfill its duties as the target of the next Critics' Court, we'll just go right to the top. The next subject.
No. The first runner-up is, and then
you know how to close suspense.
Here.
If you tell the second one.
No. Here's how to do it. Here, say first runner-up is this, which means the next Critic Court will be. Okay. So.
All right, at 28%. The first runner-up is Lord of the Rings. So the next subject of Critics' Court is Star Trek.
Oh my God! People are going to blame me for this.
Sadly, Jesse's right. I don't know if they have anybody to defend it.
Apparently, there's 2 people who love it. That's what's mentioned in the chat. Maybe
those guys on hopefully. It's really cool. Doug Moore here. He's got a great concept behind this show, and it's really catharsis. Like you said, everybody was saying, that at Comic-Con, this was really cathartic, and it is. And we need to be able to talk about these things. I think people need to have a little bit more of a sense of humor about, the conversation. When fans don't like things, they don't say, "Oh, well, I didn't really like it, and all due respect it." They say, "Fuck J.J. Abrams, he wrote the thing I love."
Well, here's the deal. We're going to do Star Trek. I can't say exactly when we're going to do it. It's going to be a few months. We're going to take a few months break. Yeah. Hollywood on the Rocks is going to return on Wednesdays. So we're still doing a live stream on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific time, same time we did Critics Court. We're just going to do Hollywood on the Rocks. We're going to build up to the Star Trek trial, and we're going to come up with a very specific, it's not going to be exactly the same as Star Wars. It also won't be as long, but we will be putting Star Trek on trial. And we're going to get people who love the new Star Trek because they exist. Are you ready for that?
Do they?
Yeah,
they do exist.
Yeah, so please make yourself known if you like new
Yeah.
Trek. I also feel like JJ may come back.
JJ is going to come back for that trial.
Yeah. Anyone else can we think of that might come back?
What should be is he going to have? What his defense is going to be? His defense is going to be, well, look, I needed to change it just, about 65% so I could get paid for all the merchandise that we didn't make.
Some last super chats before we wrap things up here real quick. Hayden 75 for 5. Jesse, you've been great, man. Hey, contribute to Jesse's Kickstarter. Can you put it in the private chat? And then same thing with yours, Todd. Does Todd have a Kickstarter going right now? Let's put it in the private chat.
I don't think his notification page is up yet. But if you,
Todd, we'll promote it when it comes up.
Yeah,
Jesse, thank you. Yours is up. So
yeah, I'll give you the link right now.
Mr. Tickle Trunk, put it in the private chat. Mr. Tickle Trunk, Doctor Who was 3+ seasons, killing a 60-year living IP. It goes on to say, you said that twice, or maybe it was on there twice. Chris B for 5. Don't you worry. There's plenty of lesser minds out there willing to defend junk like Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. And Leo Cody, thank you, Leo. Between trials, the RRR debate with Anna, please. We're definitely doing that. And Sean Hu, I am honestly interested in hearing the opinions of people who like the new Star Trek. Thank you, Sean Hu, for 742. And as we wrap it up today, we got to thank you to the mods, Lord Thoth, Mexican Iron Man. Here we go, King of Kings.
Thank you so much. And hey, there's a few people calling for my head. And you just need to tell them that I wasn't the only person who suggests that Star Trek had gotten enough votes in its poll that it deserved to be included in this list. I wasn't the only one. I very strongly feel that way. I love Star Trek. Star Trek is my favorite franchise. Gene Roddenberry is one of my heroes, and he's dead, and they're pissing on his grave.
Yeah. I think chat's pretty gullible because, they voted MCU over Star Trek initially. Then they changed their mind.
I think that's hysterical.
What's going on, chat? What is wrong? Chat, come on.
The argument makes sense.
Are you shitting on your argument, Lofty? I mean,
no, I wanted Lord of the Rings to win. That's why I'm upset.
Burn the Jesse. Do you see this? Burn the Jesse. They want my head.
Well, ultimately, we're going to keep I want to keep the results of that poll because that tells us what trials we should do next. I mean, this could be an ongoing show, but I think because it involves so much preparation, we're going to have to do it. We do it a trial, then we take a break, then we do a trial, take a break, all that. So
imagine what's truly awful by the time you get to the next one.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
All I can say is once the musical episode comes out, this will become irrelevant, and Star Trek will be back on course.
Oh man, I thought we were going to do a musical episode of Critics Court.
We should.
Someday, who knows?
This is the prosecution against Star Trek.
Oh God, Tom, that would be awful. But I want to thank everybody. Glenn Brown, dude, our producer. He's rarely on camera, but when he is, he's could not have done he edited all the videos, did the graphics, knocked it out of the park. Glenn, dude, we owe it to you.
Yeah.
Toasting you, sir. A drink to you. Thank you so much. Just amazing. Plus, this has been fun as hell. Amazing work, Glenn. Thank you. Fantastic. Wait, Glenn, I'm gonna wait before. Do it again. Do what you just did again.
Oh, Glenn
Producer gay. There you go.
So say the producer gay or
yes, the producer gay. Yes.
So I want to thank.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody in the. Wait, did we get more? Okay, well, let's go through these real quick.
Oh.
More super chats came in. Let's see. Super Grova 5. Khan said it. I mean to avenge myself upon you. He meant justice, but same thing. Hayden 75 for 5. Star Trek has a lot of junk to sift through. Rings of Power wasn't Lord of the Rings. Marvel would have been the same. Doctor Who has 3 bad seasons. Star Trek works. Okay. Echo Base Network for 2. RMB versus Doomcock on Picard season 3 would be epic.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. That's some wishful thinking there.
Thank you, Echo Base Network. And stop normalizing VTubers, says Contrarian 420.
What's a VTuber? I saw that in the chat.
I'm not a VTuber. I'm a hologram.
A hologram.
It's
Yeah.
a difference.
Oh.
Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. That's me. I'm Obi-Wan.
Alex Zorba for 2 says Star Trek is the GOAT. My copy of Attack of the Dock has shipped. Oh, that's great, Alex Zorba. Thank you for purchasing it. But that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you to everyone. I'm doing the Irish goodbye, Glenn.
No, it's the Italian goodbye.
Italian goodbye. Did I say Irish?
Isn't that when you kill somebody? I thought.
No. Explain what the Italian goodbye is.
Italian goodbye is when you say goodbye and then you start talking about something. Then you say goodbye again. You move a little closer to the door, but you keep talking.
Goodbye.
Then you go outside. You're by the car.
That's just talking to your
like 2
parents.
hours later, and you find out, and then you just spend the night because it's
When they become retired. That's just talking.
My family's very guilty.
All right.
Yeah.
Toast to a great season. Everyone a toast. Toast to a great season. First season of Critics Court. There'll be many more. Star Trek is up next. Thanks to your votes. We're going to bring out people who love the new Star Trek, and we're going to get them to talk to people who don't like the new Star Trek. And you'll be back in my courtroom. This case is finally closed. Guilty on all counts. Cheers to the jury, everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone here. Tom Connor, Shatner, Lofty Pixels, to J.J. Abrams, Jesse Snyder, Todd Blackwood, his book's coming out, Alan Ing, Ms. P. Coffee, and a little toast to Glenn Brown, producer, unbelievable, and even myself, Judge Gore. All right, everybody.
May the force.
Great job, everybody. Great job.
Thank you. Great job.
Live long and prosper.